Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the final day of the Stardust Festival. We've had a really great week with a lot of amazing and inspiring speakers, great STEM and STEAM activities with our youth, and some amazing, exciting launches with Launch Canada and our incredible university students from across this country who came up here to Cochrane this week just for this. Ani Boju, Madison, Indigenous Cause, I would like to acknowledge that the lands that we are standing on today are Treaty 7 Anishinaabe Cree territories. With that, I would like to thank everyone for being here today. Miigwech. Our first speaker today is Vera Noves. Vera is joining us as she is very interested in biology as a younger person, and she just really loves to communicate, and that's how she became the science communicator. She took a master's course on the topic, and she just really loves to learn as much as she can and talking to many different people. And working with science journalism is really what allows her to do that. She works at Observador, and she also really likes to get involved with new projects. She's also the president of SciCompT, and she collaborates with the World Federation of Science Journalists. We're really eager for her to share her story with us today. Thank you.
Hola, hello everyone. I'm Vera Novaes. I'm a science journalist and I'm speaking from Portugal, just across the Atlantic Ocean. And I want to tell you a little about my journey till here. And I'm sorry, I just took this chance to be talking with you, but I'm at my grandmother's house, so it will be a bit noisy. I apologize for that. And I would like also to then get a feedback from you from what your feelings, your challenges, as long as I will be explaining mine. Um, if I look back in time, I think I always loved science topics. I remember watching one of my favorite TV shows ever. It was the David Attenborough's wildlife documentaries, and I wished then, and maybe still a bit now, that I could be like him. And that is why every time my 5-year-old kid asks me if he could be a firefighter or if he could be an astronaut, he really would love to go to Mars. uh, I tell him, yes, you can be whatever you want, and I really mean it. And okay, I haven't become a wildlife reporter, but I graduated as a biologist. Like I wanted to be in contact with nature, and nowadays I'm working as a science journalist, and I'm happy with that. So I have to thank also David Attenborough for his example and for making me love his work. I love science. Always loved science, and I think I will always will. And I love particularly biology, life sciences, but also astrophysics, space exploration. And I graduated as a biologist because I loved biology. And if you ask me now, I'm a science journalist. Would I be, if I go back in time, I would choose another course to take? And I say no, I would graduate again in biology because I really enjoy the topics. I really enjoy the mechanisms of nature. But I realized after this, I realized that I prefer to communicate science than to do science, despite it is really nice also. But that's okay, right? We can't be all doing the same. So I can write about space, I can write about science, I can have the chance to talk to astronauts, even if I'm not working as an astronaut or even if I'm not working as a scientist. So that is great for me and it really suits me. I must confess that during my journey as a uh, my professional journey, let's say like this, I ended up in science communication by chance because I was working as a scientist after my graduation, but it was really hard to find a job, to find a new project to be involved with. So I had to look for other kind of jobs, and I ended up working as an environmental educator at Lisbon Zoo, and then at Lisbon Botanical Garden. And I've learned so much in the way I had to communicate, because I was working mainly with the children, small children from 5 years old, and also with teenagers. So I had to improve a lot my communication skills, and that was really interesting. And the feedback I was getting from kids and teenagers from the work I was doing was really interesting. But even this kind of job that I loved so much was a seasonal job, you know. During spring and summer, I would have a lot of work to do, and during autumn and winter, no work at all. So I couldn't manage my life with this kind of work. So I start looking again, couldn't find job as a scientist. So I took every chance that I could, and I ended up working in a bookshop. I love books. Also, I love to read. So it was okay. And I thought it would be a short experience, but it ended up to be a 3 years and a half, roughly, working in a bookshop. And after 1 year, I was the manager of the bookshop, and that was really a very interesting experience. Of course, you can think, okay, but you were not working as a scientist. You graduated as a biologist, and you were working in a bookshop. But that's okay. I have learned a lot, and what I feel is that we have to uh, keep your keep our minds open, and take the profit from whatever we are doing then. And I learned a lot about how to manage my human resources, the people that were working with me, and all that experience gave me a lot that I could take to my future. But even so, I thought, okay, I'm working as a bookseller and as a manager, but I really would like to go back to science. So I looked for science jobs again, and I could find one. And I say, okay, I love books, but now I will go back to science. And then I have the chance to take a master course on science communication. And I I realized that science communication was really my beat. So I took the master, and I had my first class on science journalism. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I was used to talk to people, talk to kids, explain science topics, but I was not used to write about them. So I took that class, and I started working as a journalist as far as 2013, and I'm still working as a science journalist, and I really love it. Uh, I don't write only about science; I write about every other topic that you can imagine, and but I, I've learned more about science since I'm a science journalist than ever in my life. So this is perfect for me. I love to learn. I love science, and I can get this all together working as a science journalist. And even more, uh, I like to ask questions. I like to touch. We would say in Portuguese, I like to touch in the wounds. If something isn't going in the right way, something sounds wrong, I will look for it, and I will ask questions. And that is something that journalism allows me to do. And I really enjoy it. So this is for now. Maybe I can change in the future. This is for now my work, the thing I really want to be doing now. But it isn't easy. I must say, life isn't all a bed of roses. It has some spines that can sting you, but along the way, you will find ways to manage it. And you know that working as a journalist, there's a lot of pressure on us. It's hard to deal with that. It can break us, and it has broken me also, and I had to stop for a while. I have to find a way to stand up again, to smile again. That is something that I love to do, and to be able to be working in the my best of my conditions. And after that, I also had to learn how I can manage my own effort, because working as a journalist is really, really demanding. So nowadays I'm managing it, and I will be managing it for the rest of your life, and we will all face challenges, either if it's because we can't find the work we want, even if it's we found the work we want but it's really demanding, even if we got sick somehow, and we have to solve our disease and learn how to live with that. But that is possible, I must assure you. That is possible, and that's why I'm here to tell you that you can do it. You can be whatever you want. I could be an astronaut, but I choose to be a science journalist. So I will leave this chance if you want to make some questions now. But if not, I will tell you about the most interesting stories I've ever written, or where science journalists have taken me. Madison, what do you think?
I think we would love to hear those stories. I'm intrigued already. So I think if you could share some of that, that would be really great for us.
Yeah, but as soon as you have questions for me, just let me know and interrupt me. It will be okay.
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So one of my first, I must say that was probably uh, the most exciting moment in my life as a science journalist. I had the chance to be on a parabolic flight with the European Space Agency. I don't know if you know what is a parabolic flight, but the plane will do like this. Will do like this for 30 times for 3 hours or something. And as soon as you are up and going down, you will feel weightless. It's like you are in zero gravity. It is not really, because you are still on Earth, but it will feel like. So you would levitate. And that was amazing. The experience for me as a person was amazing. And I also had the chance to follow up experiments that were running on that flight. So they were testing, for example, they were testing a mechanism to collect samples that were taken from Mars. Imagine the, uh, the 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 robots in Mars would collect samples, then they would send it up to a satellite or a space ship. So you had to have something to collect that, and they were testing if that worked or not on zero gravity. Also, how the human body would react in uh, uh, low gravity and high gravity, because when you were going up, you would feel like 2G. That I can roughly say that is like were double weighted. So just imagine, when I was standing up and I felt double G, 2G, I would feel like my legs were were supporting an elephant. Not really, I'm not that heavy, but uh, that was my feeling. And that was one of the most amazing experience I ever had. Also, sometime later, I don't recall now when it was, but I was following Rosetta and Philae. That was the small robot that Rosetta would send to a comet, Chury, and I was there watching it happen. When Rosetta was releasing the robot to land on the comet, and had my phones on, and I was following what was happening in the command space, what were they doing, what were they saying. And as soon as it landed, everyone shouted, and I shouted also. I was like, ah, in the newsroom. Everyone was looking at me. They didn't know what was happening, and I was shouting like a crazy, like I was also involved. So, and I lived the moment like I was part of it. And that was really really amazing. And then I was writing a lot about Rosetta, Philae, the comet, all the drama about Philae, because it landed in a place where it was in the shadow. It couldn't get enough sun for the solar panels to have energy to work and so on. So I was following all that drama, and I was writing about that. And the Observador, where I'm working, was a brand new news media, and that was the first time where we hit records on people reading my article. So it was amazing. We had so much people reading a science article. That was just perfect for me. So, and lately, I can tell about another thing, and that was one of involved with Jason Meshot, that is also responsible for this festival. And it was analog mission on Mars, not on Mars, but on the Utah desert. And had the chance to be covering the full mission during 2 weeks. I was talking with the analog astronauts that were there. What were they doing? What were they feeling? I was not there, unfortunately. I was on the distance. I was still in Portugal. They were in the United States, but I was getting the feeling what they were feeling and experiencing. And that was also a truly amazing experience. And I was just willing I could be there with them and feeling the same stuff they were feeling. So as a journalist, you have the chance to, or as a science communicator, actually, you have the chance to connect with a lot of people. And I love to talk to people. You have the chance to connect with people, to learn new things. I'm learning new things every day. So would you like to ask some particular question or some comment on this?
Yes, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I really love how you highlighted a lot about how you didn't have to necessarily be doing something in science or engineering, but you took a different route through the arts and communication and journalism. Can you maybe share some advice for the people out there who they just love space, but they maybe just don't love the engineering or the math aspect, about ways that they can still be involved in this industry?
Oh, there's a lot of ways to be involved in this industry, because it's so big, it's so really demanding. And one of the things, okay, it's easier for me to talk about communication, but one of the things that this industry really invests on is on communication, because sometimes it's hard for people to understand, or might be hard for people to understand, why are we spending so much money just to take a spaceship to moon, or why are we not investing in land, in things that are happening on Earth? And we are, in fact, every time we send something to space, we are investing on Earth, but in a different way. Uh, and communication is really important. And I will pick again the space agents, the European Space Agency communication, because when they were working with Rosetta and Philae, they had a Twitter account for Rosetta, they had a Twitter account for Philae. They built up some cartoons, so you could be following that adventure like it was real, like it was between two sensuous beings, So Rosetta was talking to Philae. Philae was saying that, oh, I'm so sleepy, because it couldn't get enough energy. So the communication there was really amazing, and that got people involved. So this way, you can be really deep inside the mission, but not being an astronaut nor an engineer. You can be drawing the cartoons, or you can creating the illustrations. We have a lot of illustrations on about space, like now the Artemis mission that will go will fly around the moon. Uh, they already have some drawings, some illustration on the moon and the Orion capsule, how would it would be like. So this is also important. Someone has to be doing the sketches, right? So that is another way to get involved, even without a science background. And if you have a science background, you can be preparing, for example, experiments on biology to see how plants and animals would stand in another environment, another planet, in a space station on the moon or in Mars. So that is another way. Even if you don't travel to space, you can prepare experiments to be run in space. So
Yeah.
that's my thought.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's something we care about a lot at the Stardust Festival, that it's the STEAM, including the arts. And like you said, space is so visual. We need people just to show us the beauty of the stars and the night sky, but also to make these illustrations and the communication to get more people involved and interested in. Yeah, no, so that's really great. And something else that you talked about earlier was really interesting, how you said in your science journalism, when you were working as a journalist, you got to learn while doing your job. So do you have advice for people when they're looking, or any interesting things that you got to learn that you never thought you would have considered even coming across through your work as a journalist?
Oh, I don't know. uh, Not considering is that is not something that I could say, because I'm so open-minded that I'm available to learn anything that comes in
Mm.
my way. So and sometimes I'm also working outside science, or in a boundary between science and society, and that is the place where I love the most to be at, because it really um, take I think it's a way to drive people into science. And just let me give you an example. It is not at all related to science, to space, but there was it's a bit dramatic story, but there was an accident in a mine here in Portugal. So the walls fell down, two people died, and afterwards it's the discussion that was old enough but regained traction about how dangerous these mines were, and people mining, the dangers they fear. So the government said they would solve it and created a new law on that. And afterwards, I was doing some investigation, checking if government ideas were really good, if they were implemented in the right way, what were they doing. And I realized that it was just talk, cheap talk, and in the end, in the field, there was all the same. So you had science, and because it was geology, but you had also economy, because it impacted people's life and people work. And then you had the government saying stuff that was not correct. Also, sometimes you have some parties making new proposals for laws that they pretend to be based on science, and they have all their arguments supposedly based on science. And then when I'm going to check it out, fact checking it, I realized that they were cherry picking. They were just picking the science they wanted to, so I will debunk that and try to explain to my audience what is real and not in those questions. So I really enjoy to do this, and I hope this engages people in science. That's why I like science communication so much, and science journalism.
Yeah, definitely. That's great. Yeah, it's really exciting to get to share all of these different things, and you get to learn yourself, and then you help everyone else also get to learn. Yeah, so that's great. So with that, I think we're just coming to the end, but thank you so much for joining us today and sharing this really inspiring story to kick us off this morning. So
Thank you very much. And if you need to reach me somehow, just look for me on Twitter, for example, or Facebook, and I will be available to answer your questions, to maybe help you driving somewhere. And I can tell you that across the globe, there are a lot of science communication associations and science journalists associations that are meant to help people that want to be in this field. I started without knowing these associations, but during during my way, I've learned about them. Nowadays, I'm the president of the science communication network in Portugal, and I've been engaged with a lot of science journalists in Europe, with the World Federation of Science Journalists. So, and that way, you also learn. You learn about your job, not only about science, but also how to do your job better, because we can improve every day. We can learn and we can improve every day. Thank you very much for inviting me to this festival.
thank you so much for joining us. All right, everyone. So we will be taking a break on this stream, but please head over to the other stream. We have a speaker underway talking about space architecture, and we'll be back on this stream at 1 o'clock with a panel on space mining.